Hello and welcome. Namaste and welcome to another Startup Operator Roundup. I'm Roshan Karyapa.
And I'm Gunjan Saha, and we break down the biggest headlines from the Indian startup ecosystem. If this is the first time you're tuning into the channel, please
Wait. We'll first have to address your ethnic attire.
So we happen to be recording this episode on Holi. Well, clearly one of us is feeling celebratory.
Yeah.
I wonder why you are not wearing a kurta.
I'm too scared to ruin all my good kurtas on Holi. But yeah, happy Holi to you folks as well. I'm sure you had a fun day. Colorful day?
A colorful day.
Yeah, okay. Go on. Tell them what we do on the Roundup.
So in our channel, we regularly speak to founders, investors, operators, asking them about getting the pulse of the startup ecosystem. And every Sunday, we host this show called the Startup Operator Weekly Roundup, where we break down the biggest headlines from the startup ecosystem and try to explain what it means for you. If you're a regular listener to this channel, then please consider sharing this video with your network. And if it is the first time, please subscribe, like, share this video, and do all the good stuff. So we're doing this roundup also after some time. We took
quite a lot of time.
Long break.
In that absence, Gunjan Saha has turned a year older.
I turned a year wiser.
Not okay, older. No comments on that.
So a lot has happened in this past few weeks. So here's a quick rundown. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the startup Mahakumbh at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi on 20th of March. And over there, he highlighted major developments from the Indian startup ecosystem. Centre has announced lowering of import duties on EVs to boost investments in India. And certain companies like Tesla gets a huge advantage based on this. IT Ministry has removed the need for getting an approval for rolling out new AI models. When the government had announced the plans a few weeks back, it was met with a lot of deliberation by the startup community. New competition laws will be bringing big techs with over 10% of its global user base in India under its ambit. And Paytm finally gets the NPCI nod to operate as a third-party application provider. So looks like, good days are ahead for Paytm.
Hopefully, yeah.
Zomato launched the Pure Veg fleet to cater to vegetarian customers. However, that initiative was rolled back. And Nexus Venture Partners MD Brij Verma, who we have had on the podcast before, he is leaving Nexus Ventures to start his own fund. And of course, this past few weeks also saw the announcement of Devin, which is the first AI software engineer. So if you are a software engineer especially, you should definitely wait for us to talk about that, because who knows, there might be something in it for you. So Roshan, 3 weeks. What were you up to?
It's 2 weeks actually. But yeah, must feel like 3 without me, huh? But eventful couple of weeks. The IPL has started, right? Lesser said the better for RCB fans, right? We got off in like typical fashion, losing the first one to Chennai.
Some things can't be changed.
Never change. But hey, the women's team won the cup.
Yeah.
Overnight I became a women's cricket fan. Right, I hadn't watched any of the matches, but then I caught the highlights, and pretty awesome, man. Elise Perry can really hit the ball out of the stadium not the stadium, at least in the stands for a 6. Right, and Shriyanka Patil is awesome as well. Great flight, drift, turn, all of the good stuff. So yeah.
Nice.
Some amazing stuff. Did you catch the ladies in action?
I did not catch the ladies in action, but I saw the men in action.
Why are you blushing, dude?
Hey,
I don't understand.
Tell me why.
I mean, I'm just talking about great cricket here. Come on. For God's sakes.
Man, I'm looking at you and smiling. You're shining. You're so passionate while talking about women's cricket.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they got us a cup, dude. Someone got us a cup. I mean, I will... I'll support anyone who gets us a cup, really. I mean, it's been 14, 15 years of heartbreak for RCB fans. But here's a stat, okay? So the highest run getter for RCB in all of the seasons, like combined, has been Virat Kohli. And he has some 7,000 plus runs, right? Guess who the second highest run getter for RCB is? Indian, not a foreign national. Indian run getter is, and how much they've scored.
I have no idea. Not a big RCB fan here.
Oh, just guess how much the total score would be.
How much? 4,000, 5,000?
900 something. Wow. Rahul Dravid.
He's playing test cricket.
I mean, talk about an over-reliance on, King Kohli, right? But anyway, man, this season, Salah. No, let me just
No,
stop
no.
there.
Yeah.
Let me
Don't
just
jinx
stop
it.
there.
Don't jinx
Yeah.
it. But I'm supporting KKR. They seem to be in form, though their performance was questionable. But then also reminded me I just watched the series Inside Edge, and I was just trying to see how a proper IPL match plays out with the betting going on behind. And the KKR versus SRH match was too good if you knew that people are betting behind the scenes.
All right.
So that was fun. Anyway, enough of cricket. Let's talk startups. India's startup ecosystem flourishing at an unprecedented rate, driven by the youth. This is not limited to metro cities, it has now become a social culture. This is not just a sentiment that we have been talking about in the podcast, but an acknowledgement by Prime Minister Modi. The PM inaugurated Startup Mahakumbh at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi on the 20th of March and emphasized the country's roadmap of working to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. There are four key messages that stood out in the Prime Minister's address. Number one, develop Indian solutions for global applications. Number two, pay it forward. Three, deepen industry startup linkages. And fourth, new enterprises are now becoming the linchpin of the Indian economy. So it was a very fantastic speech that he delivered. I'd highly recommend folks to check it out on YouTube. But for me, one thing that really stood out for me is that India is actually becoming a hotbed for global innovation. And the way industry bodies, the way government bodies are working closely with the startup ecosystem is definitely an example set for the global community. And it's interesting to see that now the elections are coming up, how more will these ties improve over time?
Yeah, hopefully, I mean, Prime Minister Modi is back a third time, right? All exit polls indicate the same. So let's hope that that happens. Look, the Startup India program started in 2016, and since then we've made some progress for sure. Right, the constant asks from startups have been the same thing, right? I mean, ease the regulatory compliance bits, right? Make it easy for us to start and shut down companies, right? Make it easy for us to file taxes, operate in environments like in fintech, healthcare, so on and so forth. Right, all the ambiguity that you have on regulation, like let's come up with like clear rules on the how to operate and so on and so forth. Right. That aside, I mean. Obviously, another second thing has been attracting investments, right? Make it easy for people to invest in startups, right? Attract foreign capital flows, and so on and so forth, right? We had this draconian angel tax that was mooted some time back, but thankfully, I mean, that has ceased to exist as well. But still, it isn't as easy as, let's say, other startup ecosystems, right? Like, for example, SF or, Israel and elsewhere, right? So make it easy for people to attract investments. And a third has been, working with government agencies like ISRO, for example, or the Indian Institute of Science, and so on and so forth, right? Work with these folks to co-create, collaborate, and bring new innovation to the world, right? We've seen what a fantastic outcome we've achieved on the space side, right? Working closely with the Indian Space Association and ISRO, right? I mean, you have a bunch of these folks that have, whether it's Pixel, Agnikul, so on, do really amazing stuff, right? So that's the third thing that has been sort of an ask, right? And I hope that we achieve more on these three fronts. I really liked the Prime Minister's speech. I think it's fantastic that startups are a part of the government lexicon. Right, sometime back, I mean, Balaji Srinivasan had mentioned that our budget had words like blockchain and fintech and so on and so forth, digital currencies and so on, that was not very usual even for developed economies, right? So yeah, it's awesome that startups are mainstream, and it's awesome that Prime Minister and the government itself feels that startups are a key part of us getting to the 5 trillion economy and beyond. So yeah, I mean, I'm really positive. One of the things that we're doing is the whole national research fund, right? I mean, we've committed about 1 lakh crores, which is a significant amount. Right, and I hope that that kind of increases, and we're able to democratize some of the teething problems that we have to a wider base of people, so that we can come up with innovative solutions.
Yeah. So another thing is the whole collaboration that you spoke about. One thing that stands out truly well here is, let's take the example of UPI, right? The problems which we as a country are solving for ourselves is essentially the answers to big global level problems like payments, right? So what we are building for India becomes the de facto solution for the world, and that is because we try to solve problems at scale and not just in a particular niche. I
Yeah.
think that is working out really well for a country like ours.
No, this is what Nandan calls population scale problems, right? Again, UPI has been a fantastic innovation to that end. I'm really looking forward to, ONDC, OCEN, and the others kind of panning out in their true vision, right? I mean, that'll truly be that next level of innovation, I feel.
Also, in another big boost to the EV sector of the country, India will be lowering import taxes on certain electric vehicles for companies that are committing to invest at least $500 million and setting up a local manufacturing facility within the next 3 years. Firms meeting these requirements will be allowed to import 8,000 EVs a year at a reduced import duty of 15% on cars costing $35,000 or above. India currently levies a tax of 70% to 100% on imported cars depending on their value. The policy change is likely to pave the way for Tesla to enter India, as the Elon Musk-led company has been in talks with the government for a long time. The move also aligns with India's global ambitions to boost the adoption of EV and reduce the dependence on oil imports. Tesla may use India as a manufacturing base to export its vehicles to Southeast Asia, and unlike the US and other major automobile markets, India's average car price is under $10,000, and 70% of the cars sold in India are below $15,000. So definitely we are not going to see Teslas be the every third or fourth car in the road, but rather India will become the exporting hub for Tesla, at least in the Southeast Asian markets.
No, see, 500 million is chump change for Tesla, but it's a start, right? Yeah. It's definitely a start. And if you look at, how Tesla and Elon Musk have interacted with the government over the last 3 or 4 years, right? We've played to our leverage, right? Mr. Nitin Gadkari is amazing at that. Right, he's a businessman himself, and he's negotiated very well for India, right? Yeah. Which is that, hey, you commit to some kind of investments, commit to growing the ecosystem here, setting up a manufacturing base, providing employment, etc., and then we can consider, some kind of a deduction in the tax and so on, right? I mean, in the excise. So that's really what's happened. The difference between 70% and 15 is quite a lot, right? So I won't be surprised to see, a few Teslas on the road for sure. Right, but this is a very, very interesting and important first step, I would say, in terms of setting up, manufacturing here. Because, hey, I mean, if you look at manufacturing hubs across the world, I mean, in terms of, just the population, the skill level, so on and so forth, you can't ignore India, right? I mean, China, the wages are rising as well. And plus, given the geopolitical tensions right now, I mean, if anyone is looking for China plus one or, just de-risking their supply chain from China, I mean, you can't ignore India, right? And that's really what we should play to our advantage.
Yeah. Also, within the whole EV market, right, that we are seeing this trend of premiumization, right? What essentially means that today's most of the EVs in the four-wheeler segment or the two-wheeler segment, they are between the price range of $1,400 to $1,800, while the traditional ICE engines are available at an average price of $1,000, right? So as we have seen in US when Tesla launched over there, they started by making luxury cars. Once the brand becomes well known, there's more reliability on it, they start coming to mid-market and lower markets. But I think what will really be driving the whole EV adoption in India is the B2B use case, which is the Zomato, Swiggy's, and all their delivery
that's already
fleet.
happening. See, because EV obviously, gives phenomenal benefits on the economy side of things, right? I mean, it's cheap as hell.
Yeah.
Compared
the initial investment, let's say, to buy a EV is it's at a premium when you compare to IC engines, but the running cost of an EV through a period of 1 year or more, then the total cost of ownership reduces.
Actually, not even that. I mean, you're not going to give your fleet, Aethers and, even Ola S1s or whatever, right? I mean, you're going to give them the cheapest possible bike, and those are like pretty minimal, actually, we should definitely get one of these mobility companies, on the pod. In fact, I mean, I will be speaking to the CTO of Bounce. Okay. Right, we had the founder Vivekanand sometime back, maybe a couple of years
2022.
back. Yeah, 21 something,
21,
right?
Oh, it's been a long time since
Yeah,
we
it's
have
been a
done
long
this.
time now. So we're going to have someone from Bounce again, and it'll be interesting to understand the economics of how things work out. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so we have been talking about the government and the startup ecosystem. Well, here's another update. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has reversed its previous stance on AI regulations by removing the approval requirement for new AI model rollouts in India. By embracing a more flexible approach to AI regulation, MIT aims to unleash the full potential of India's AI ecosystem and drive technological advancements across industries. The regulatory reversal is expected to have profound implications for India's ecosystem, attracting investment, fostering collaboration, stimulating growth, and driving technological advancements across industries. Despite the removal of the approval requirement, MIT remains committed to upholding the ethical standards and safeguarding against potential risks associated with AI technologies. And it also highlights the need for responsible AI development and deployment practices. Now, what this story essentially is an update when the government passed laws saying that any new AI model rollouts need to be approved by the center. Now, of course, there's a lot of criticism within the AI community from foreign investors, domestic investors, saying that this much of scrutiny is gonna hamper investments into this niche field, and that's gonna make investors shy away from investing in India. The government has heard that and they have recalled that policy. So I think the government is being really proactive to the needs of the ecosystem.
Yeah, it is. But look, I mean, I don't also agree that you can just not regulate this, right? And let the innovation kind of find the median in which it has to operate, right? I mean, I don't think that's the case. It is very, very difficult to regulate, right? Because AI is extremely probabilistic. But I think you have to build some kind of accountability into it, right? I mean, we saw the kind of ridiculous answers that Google's Gemini gave out, for instance, right? Now, someone has to take responsibility for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it can have consequences. When you think about the elections upcoming right now in a month or so, right? I mean, it can definitely influence people one way or another. I mean, we've seen this elsewhere as well. So I think the government for sure should keep a close watch on how some of these big platforms are, delivering this kind of technology. Uh, but it's just so hard, man. It's just really, really hard to arrive at, what is the right way to regulate. There are roughly about three approaches the way I look at it, right? I mean, in the US, I think they just go by what the big platforms do, right? And then figure, how to sort of mediate, regulate, and so on. So the likes of Google, Facebook, or even Tesla, and so on and so forth, have a lot of leverage on that. And then in Europe, I mean, you have a different case of, before the innovation, they'll bring out the regulation, right? And they'll be very proud about
Yeah.
that, I mean, they've managed to regulate whatever it is. And they don't mind stifling, innovation at the cost of safety, security, and all of those things. I mean, that's the priority that they have, right? Now, India, we are doing something in between, right? Which is that we are quite reactive to things, and I made this case some time back that, India loves banning things because by the time you let something be, the second order impact of, whatever it is, whatever kind of technology or thing it is, right? It can just be very difficult to control given the scale and complexity of India, right? So our approach has always been to sort of ban things and then make exceptions, right? So it's classic, right? So we're trying to figure things out, as it comes.
No, I also think it's more about, rather than asking for explicit permission whether you can do this or not, I think it's more about putting some sort of guardrails into key, hey, how can things move forward?
Yeah, it's very difficult though, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be a policymaker, trying to regulate some of these things. It's
Yeah, I
it's
thought you were trying to
impossibly hard.
influence. I thought you were trying to influence people with this podcast.
No, I'm just doing it for shits and giggles.
Okay, talking about big techs, right, and the India government being proactive, the government is now considering a new digital competition law that could bring big tech companies under its purview if they have 10% of the global user base or business transactions in the country. This move aims to address potential antitrust concerns related to significant digital intermediaries and prevent tech giants from flexing their muscles too much. Some of the rules might include ensuring everyone plays nice on platforms, avoiding any preferential treatments in search results, and making sure that tech works well with others. Google, I hope you're listening. Some digital firms making a hefty sum of over 2,000 crores in India could also fall under this law, even if they don't have its 10% of its user base in the country. But to keep the spirit of innovation alive, smaller digital firms might get a free pass. Now, the goal here is actually to stop any sort of foul play rather than dealing with the aftermath of it, as you rightly mentioned. And very soon, according to reports, it is expected that new law's backbone might include a draft bill and some solid recommendations. So it'll be interesting to see how these large tech companies are going to react.
No, it's long due, I would say, right? I mean, and in my opinion, any of these large innovations that have massive impact are going to tend towards becoming utilities, right? Whether it is your search, whether it is ride sharing, whether it is e-commerce marketplace, what have you. That's just the way of the world, right? When you gain, such significant influence over people and their lives, I think this is broadly going to happen. So. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays out. It's about time that some of these folks are made to play nice, right? And one could be, solving this through regulation, like the government has kind of mooted. The other could be, platforms like ONDC, for instance, right? The vision of ONDC in order to democratize innovation to everyone, right, and not have any kind of biases and favorites, in a sort of a marketplace scenario. I mean, if that vision is realized, I think automatically we will solve a bunch of these things. So I think it'll have to be a mix of both.
Right. So this past few weeks, one company was making the headlines. I know we are not talking about Byju's, it's Paytm. Due to regulatory issues, Paytm Payments Bank or PBBL could not accept deposits or top-ups after 15th March. This meant Paytm had to look for a different way to continue its UPI services. Now, NPCI or the National Payments Corporation of India has given 197 Communications Limited, the company that owns Paytm, the permission to work as a third-party application provider or TPAP for UPI services. This is a big deal because it allows Paytm to offer UPI-based transactions through its app. So that means if you are a user of Paytm, you will not be facing any disruption in services. But here are the key things that you need to know. Paytm now has what's called a TPAP license. This means it can provide apps that are UPI compliant to end user customers. This could include mobile wallets, merchant apps, or any other platform using UPI as payments. 4 banks, Axis Bank, HDFC, SBI, and Yes Bank, will act as payment service providers for Paytm's parent companies, which means that these banks will help UPI operators for Paytm users. So amidst all of this chaos of Paytm and intermediaries and stuff, I think there was one clear winner, which was the Unified Payments Interface or UPI. Because if the architecture was not sound or not modular enough, there would be a lot of chaos and probably India's digital payment infrastructure would have come crashing down.
Yeah, I think the interoperability for sure is a fantastic feature of UPI, right? There is this amazing podcast I listened to, Neelkant Mishra on Mukesh Bansal's Sparks, right? We'll link to it in the description, but it's a phenomenal podcast that talks about, the India stack and the significance, the history, evolution, all of that stuff. Neelkant is amazing, right? He is just fabulous at explaining things, all the macro stuff in a way that you're able to relate very well, right? So yeah, do check out that podcast.
Awesome. Zomato had also launched what they call a pure veg fleet to cater to vegetarian customers. But a few days after they rolled out the feature, Dipinder Goyal took to Twitter saying that they're rolling it back. He further said that post-feedback, the company realized that some customers as well as delivery partners may land in trouble due to this. Elaborating on the rationale behind the rollback, Dipinder says that this will ensure Zomato's red uniform delivery partners are not incorrectly associated with non-veg food and blocked by any residents' welfare societies on any special days. What do you make of this?
India is a complex society, man. I mean, really. I don't know what the need was for, green or red or whatever, right? They're private enterprise. They can, choose to do whatever they want, that is socially, legally, ethically fine. right? But yeah, I mean, it could just cause unnecessary chaos, right? I mean, if green is veg and red is non-veg, right? So they are still segregating their fleet, but they're just not using those colors to kind of denote everything. But I mean, I was just flabbergasted at all of the comments on Twitter, right? I mean, it's just astounding. I mean, apparently you can be vegan, right, and that can have swag value, but you can't be a desi vegetarian, right? Because then you're somehow imposing your caste bias and whatnot, right? I mean, good god, I mean, the levels of thinking, right? But yeah, India is a complex society, and Zomato has done a reasonable thing to sort of roll back and you know not uh, not given to any unnecessary chaos, right? Because ultimately, I mean, see, is it a good thing? I think it's a fantastic thing, right? I mean, they should respect their users, their customers. So for sure, right? I mean, some people do have concerns on this whole veg and non-veg mixing and whatnot, right? I mean, I know people who avoid going to restaurants where the meals are cooked in the same kitchen, for sure, right? I mean, to each his own. And Zomato did the right thing in the sense that of treating these people differently. Yeah, maybe the uniforms are not required, right? But they'll still continue to do that, which is, I think, a great thing, right? So one thing is that Zomato has always been like ears to the ground, listening to their customers, right? So they iterate really, really quickly. So fantastic stuff. And, they're profitable as well because of the whole IPO thing, right? So yeah,
And plus,
awesome.
Dipinder also got married recently.
Dude, we're not going to talk about that. I mean, for more of that, you can check out any other startup outlet. But no, we're not going to talk about founders'
but
marriages and whatnot.
We did our research.
He did his whatever page 3 salacious.
All right, moving on. Nexus Venture Partners is set to see the departure of one of its managing directors, Samir Brij Verma, after a 13-year stint. He invested in startups like Postman, Unacademy, Inframarket, among others. And we also had the pleasure of talking to him, I think, around 2021? 2020. Oh, wow. That's a long time back.
4 years.
We had the pleasure of talking to him in our podcast. Roshan, can you tell us some of your best moments?
Samir is a fantastic person, right? He's been an executive. He's been an investor, both in public and private markets, and a fantastic VC as well, right? This whole developer tools market that we have today, I mean, driven by Postman, Hasura, bunch of others. Samir was one of the early believers in that, right? And I spoke about his thesis for the same and so on and so forth in November of 2020. And, he's such a kind guy as well, because the first time we did a recording with him, after about 100 podcasts, the worst thing happened, right? We recorded it, and then I realized that there's a problem with the Zoom recording, and I didn't get the recorded file, right? He was so sweet. I mean, he agreed to do it another time. So I recorded the podcast 2 times thanks to Samir. Right, really the kindest person, I will say. And wish him all the best, really.
Yeah, it was a fantastic conversation. I mean, we'll link the episode in the description, so please check it out.
Yeah, check out 2020 me.
All right, so now before we move on to the notable fundraisers, Devin was announced, which is the world's first AI software engineer. Devin is the brainchild of Swedish AI startup called Paytm. It leverages advanced algorithms and neural network architectures to automate many aspects of the model development pipeline, right from data pre-processing to model training and optimization. One of Devin's key features is the ability to understand and interpret human input, allowing users to communicate their requirements and preferences in natural language. This intuitive interface simplifies the model development process, making it accessible to individuals with varying levels of technical expertise. This development reminds me of one of the interviews by Jensen Huang, who is the co-founder and CEO of NVIDIA. He said, he was asked rather that will programming, coding become a necessary skill for the workforce of the future? To which Jensen replies that no, we are putting in the hard work today to build generative AI models so that in the future people don't need to code. They can just give instructions in natural language. The computer will be able to understand it and generate the output. And I think slowly we are moving towards that future where you don't need to be a expert coder or programmer, but you need to be a creative person.
Look, I mean, programming has come a long way over the last 30 years, right? I mean, nobody writes, code for the compiler anymore, So it is going to tend towards becoming more human language oriented, I would say. But man, I think you still will have to understand some level of problem solving, abstraction, data orientation, and so on and so forth, right? I mean, uh, will it get to a point where any person will say anything and then have the desired impact? I don't know. Maybe it will ultimately get to that. But yeah, I am not like totally, subscribe to the notion that, you don't have to learn programming and go and do all the other stuff, right? I mean, pick up English or philosophy or whatever. I think all of that is required. But it doesn't hurt to have some computer science fundamentals
No, absolutely. I mean, it's
in place.
not like you ask ChatGPT, hey, make me a computer program that makes butter chicken in the microwave.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that will not happen, but yeah, you're right. You've come a long way. I mean, just look at website builder.
That butter chicken example made absolutely no sense,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll pardon Gunjan Saha for that.
Hey.
Yeah, but have you seen this guy Scott Wu,
No.
the CEO of the firm that
Pelter.
released Devin? Yeah, the guy is some kind of a math genius. Okay, I mean, so
No
people
shit.
yeah, exactly. People have been posting videos of his math Olympiad or whatever, and it's insane. I mean, he doesn't even have to let the person finish the question. I mean, he already has an answer, right?
Guess who we
Like
had on the
5,000
podcast like
or
that.
something. Huh?
But we
Hey, we had
the
Banu
world's
of Banzu.
fastest human
The
calculator.
world's fastest human calculator. Do check that out also. We'll link that also in the description. More work for the producer.
Okay, all right. This seems like a long roundup. Lot of news updates.
We were missing for a couple of weeks, so
Yeah.
we had to make up. Yeah.
Cool. So, but here are the notable fundraisers from the past 2 weeks. Navam Capital, which is an early stage venture capital firm, has successfully marked the first close of its maiden investment vehicle, the Navam Venture Fund 1, with commitments totaling 50 crore rupees or approximately $6 million. Perfios, which is a B2B SaaS fintech company, secured $80 million in a funding round, which was led by Teachers Venture Growth or TVG, which is the late stage and growth investment arm of Ontario Teachers Pension Plan. This significant investment catapults Perfios into the exclusive club of Indian unicorns and also makes Perfios the first unicorn of 2024. So a big up to the Perfios team.
Awesome.
Audio entertainment platform Pocket FM raised $103 million from Lightspeed and Stepstone Group. Health tech startup Ultrahuman raised $35 million from Bloom Ventures, Steadview Capital, Nexus Venture Partners, Alpha Wave, and Dipinder Goyal. What's really exciting here is to see that, late stage funding, $80 million, $103 million, $35 million,
stuff.
big numbers are back.
Yeah, I really hope, and in fact, they're already doing it. Ultrahuman is sniping at Aura's heels, right? I mean, they're producing amazing products. Shout out to Mohit. We had him also on the podcast some time back.
Yeah.
You should look at the reviews and whatnot. I mean, fabulous stuff, right? I mean, I have been considering a wearable for a while, but I've held off thinking it could be a vanity purchase. But, who knows? My first could be an Ultrahuman, right?
Maybe Ultrahuman, you can send some
free stuff
for us to test and review.
Yeah, we'll test for sure. Right. But shout out to my friend Rajiv, one amazing guy, right, has been investing in deep tech for a while now. Has been early on Aether, a bunch of other startups as well, Arav and so on. So fantastic guy, and really I could not be happier. All the best to Rajiv, and I'm sure he'll kill it.
Yeah, his tweets are also pretty amazing. You guys should check him out on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about Twitter, this is the tweet we have for the Talk of the Town section. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella to board members. Now, this is quote unquote. If OpenAI disappeared tomorrow, we have all the IP rights and all the capability. We have the people, we have the compute, we have the data, we have everything. We are below them, we are above them, we are around them.
Damn.
What do you make of that?
That's like, we should cue in some Sigma Mail or some Chad music in here, right? I mean, that's like total thug, man. I mean, jeez. He seems like such a genial guy, right? Satya, I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Below, above, around. good God. I mean, like, what badassery this is. Yeah, look, I mean, Microsoft has been really prescient with these acquisitions, right? Whether it is LinkedIn or GitHub or OpenAI. Yeah, that's 3 for 3, I should say, right? And all of them at a significant price. LinkedIn maybe at 25, 26 billion, GitHub at about 8 billion. So OpenAI again, I think about $10 billion. So yeah, significant money invested in the right direction, right? So yeah, no shit that he has them, above, below, and around.
So yeah, the best thing to happen to Microsoft after Bill Gates is
Yeah.
a person of Indian origin.
Microsoft stock has gone up maybe 20, 25 times since he took over, right? I know one person who's benefited immensely from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know him too, but yeah.
So talking about this tweet, this is not a recent comment made by Satya Nadella. This is a very old transcript, which was, I think, he said in a board of directors meeting when Sam Altman was ousted of OpenAI, and this quote is a transcript from that meeting. But I think it's a very, very powerful thing for a CEO of Microsoft to say, because the way he's planning out his moves, it's like he's thinking beyond AI.
Yeah, crazy.
Lame joke.
Oh, that was
Okay.
a joke, huh? Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Did not land.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, folks. That's all from the past 2 weeks on the India startup ecosystem. Roshan, you had a fantastic conversation lately on the podcast,
Yeah.
in which you really made a heartfelt tweet that just got 5 retweets. So why don't you tell us something about it?
It'll get 50 retweets, I'm sure.
After this.
Right? But I had a fabulous conversation with Vineet Devaya of Teleport Me. And he is, one of those folks from the 2012, 2013 era that I have followed since. It's been a rather interesting journey. At the cost of repeating myself, I would say go check out that tweet and retweet it for good karma.
That also is linked in the description below.
We'll link that also.
All right, folks. So hope you enjoyed this conversation and had some things to take away from our conversation. We'll be back again with more updates in the next episode, which will be coming out on next Monday and not 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Do keep sending us your feedback. We love going through them, and we try to make changes little by little. But the best thing that you can do for us is to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. And apart from that, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. And we'll be back again next week.
Yeah.
Take
See you
care.
guys next
Happy
week.
Holi. Enjoy.